You're listening to Seattle Real Estate Podcast.
This is a good one. Biden pick to run unemployment program oversaw $600 million in losses to the Nigerian fraud scheme. And this individual happens to come from the state of Washington. So if you're wondering where Biden's getting these great picks from, don't worry. It's coming right here from Washington State. I am so proud. I am so happy to bring you this news story. Oh, we got a lot to talk about. No, I did a podcast on this. This is the chief of the state unemployment department, and she basically got overrun by a Nigerian fraud scheme. No joke. Couldn't figure out how all this money was going out. They got scammed, and then that held up legit folks out of work who needed unemployment. Sometimes those people waited 3/4 of a year before they got their money. Crazy stuff going on. Before we jump on into it, if you're new here, thanks for being here. My name is Sean Reynolds. I'm the owner of a couple of real estate companies. I read the news. Let's read the news. LeVine's transition into a White House role comes amid an unemployment fraud scandal at her department that cost the state over $600 million. 600 big ones. Oof. A lot of money, right? Suzi LeVine, the departing head of Washington State's Employment Security Department, the ESD, reportedly will run a federal agency office that assists states in processing unemployment claims. Let's just halt here for half a second. So you did such a crappy job, or was it just somebody else's fault that the state lost $600 million at a time where their budgets are at all-time lows because of the whole COVID shutdown thing? Did she do such a good job with all that, oh yeah, we need you. We need you. The White House picks you. How does that make any sense at all? In the private sector, in real estate, you get jobs if you do a good job. In appraising, same thing. You do a good job of appraising over a while, you get more business. But at the state level and the federal level, if you do a crappy job, you still get picked. It's amazing. What an amazing system we have here, right? But LeVine's transition into the Biden administration role comes amid an unemployment fraud scandal at her state level department that cost Washington State over $600 million. So I bet she's glad to be gone. I bet she's glad to be moving on, because what a mess. Who wants to clean up that kind of mess? Nobody. Just pass it on to your underlings, whoever that next guy is or gal is. Just give that whole mess to them. Let them work on it. It's not that big of a deal. $600 million. I mean, it's not $1 billion, right? It's not $600 billion we're talking about. It's only $600 million. Yeah, it impacted the citizens of Washington State because they couldn't get money that they should have had coming for unemployment because, a lot of their jobs were shut down in a, state mandated shutdown where the governor basically said, yeah, you can't go to work today because your business is closed. That's just what we've got going here in the state of Washington. And yet these governmental employees, there's no accountability. There's zero accountability. It's crazy. The fraudulent unemployment claims were believed to be linked to a well-organized Nigerian fraud ring using identities stolen in prior data breaches, such as the massive 2017 Equifax breach. Remember that? There was just millions of people's data. More than 122,000 fraudulent claims made in the state siphoned off the cash. And yet, somehow the state systems didn't pick it up. How does that work? Man, somebody in the state's unemployment security department, somebody in that department, they've got to be going, I really missed that one. Geez, that was a big hole in our security. Oh, got to clean that bad boy up. Oh, this is not good. The Secret Service announced that Washington State was the main prey of the scandal, though other states were also targeted. But Washington just got it the worst. Separately, California has its own unemployment scandal amounting to over $11 billion. Progressive leadership, both states. Interesting. $11 billion in California. That's impressive. While another $20 billion in possible losses is still being investigated. Oh my gosh, that's so much. LeVine's forthcoming role will be Interim Assistant Secretary of the Employment and Training Administration, part of the Labor Department. What do you, and 5 people familiar with the transition told Bloomberg Law, LeVine and her husband Eric gave $400,000 to the Biden campaign and other Democratic causes in 2019 and 2020, according to federal campaign records. Interesting. That's really interesting. What do you think the discussion was with Biden's administration? I mean, didn't somebody pop off with, hey, don't you think anybody will say anything about that $600 million little fiasco with the Nigerian fraud ring? Will anybody say anything about that? Did we just do it? Well, it wasn't really her fault. She was running that department. Ultimately, she's head of that department. And if this were a privately run company with a CEO, that CEO's head would roll. It just would, right? But in the sector we're talking about here, all right, well, you did a terrible job, but we're just going to kick you up to the federal level and the president's going to take you. Never mind that $400,000 that you gave our campaign. Yeah, we're not going to worry about that. We're just going to move past that. The new job would put her at the front of President Biden's economic recovery plan after the economy shrunk by more than 10 million jobs since the start of the pandemic. With an annual budget of roughly $9 billion, about 3/4 of overall Labor Department dollars, the ETA will have a key role in patching up the scarce labor market. Good luck with that. How about we just keep the economy open? I don't know. I mean, I'm just throwing that out there. That's an unpopular opinion, though. I mean, that's just not what we want to see. We need to have people living in fear, wearing their masks, staying at home, not working. That is the best thing for the economy, right? I mean, aside from the Nigerian fraud ring, I mean, those guys really bring it to the table as well. It's not clear if LeVine will ever drop the interim part of her new title, but to transition into the permanent role, she must be confirmed by the Senate, and questions about her record in Olympia could arise. Whew, I'd like to see that. I'd like to see her answer for some of those. I just would. I mean, it would be entertaining, right? You're like, okay, we have this little issue and we're not going to spend a lot of time on it. But during your time in office in the state of Washington, your department lost over $600 million to a Nigerian unemployment fraud ring. What? Am I reading this correctly? I know this is a congressional hearing, but really? I mean, no, that's not going to happen, but I wish it would. Maybe it will. I don't know. Will it even get that far? I'm surprised Biden's administration picked, I guess I'm not surprised, but it's like, you could have picked somebody else from another state who didn't have a Nigerian tax fraud thing going on, or, money fraud thing going on. Unemployment tax. I mean, the whole thing is just like, what? It kind of goes along the lines with a guy from the Norwegian parliament was recommending that Black Lives Matter get a Nobel Peace Prize. No kidding. No lie. Peace Prize for BLM. I don't know how you feel about that, but I probably wouldn't put BLM and Peace Prize in the same category, but that's just me. Since they cause, $2 billion, between $1 billion and $2 billion worth of damages to businesses and windows and storefronts across the United States since last May. That's probably not worthy of a Nobel Peace Prize, but everybody is entitled to their own opinion, even people in Norway, in the Norwegian parliament. LeVine, the person we're talking about here, is getting kicked up to the federal level with Biden's administration. Announcing the staggering blow to the state's finances in May, said that officials were working to recover as much of the money as possible. I should hope so. She said the state had taken steps to prevent new fraudulent claims, but did not detail the steps. Okay. Well, we don't want to say the steps out loud because then people are just going to, do some more fraud ring, right? We do have definitive proof that the countermeasures we have put in place are working. I should hope so. 560 million or 600 million, not a good number. We have successfully prevented hundreds of millions of additional dollars from going out to these criminals and prevented thousands of fraudulent claims from being filed. That takes away from the fact that you already lost 600 million big ones. That's what happened. Now we're diverting the attention, and look what a great job we did of stemming this from happening forward. We know that we screwed up and we really didn't do a great job with security on this part, But we're going to focus our attention on this part over here where, we can say, we did it. After that whole $600 million thing, we've done a stellar job. Just forget about that part. Move on to the new part. We are literally saving the state money by not having, more fraud rings come in. We're just saving the state left and right. Whew. Washington State was able to recover $357 million as a result of the state's collaboration with federal law enforcement and financial institutions across the country, leaving a net loss of only $243 million. Efforts are now ongoing to recover more of the money. I'm surprised they've gotten that much back, right? Employment Security Department officials acknowledged that because of the elimination of a so-called waiting week between when a claim is filed and the time the benefit was paid, the agency wasn't always able to verify a claim with employers before the payment was made. So there was a gap in there, and the criminals, they took advantage and they exploited it. It's what criminals do. The change was instituted by none other than Governor Jay Inslee. That's right. We just got stuff going on, right? I mean, literally, it's kind of like the Norwegian Parliament, recommending Black Lives Matters for a Nobel Peace Prize. State Auditor Pat McCarthy rebuked Levine, a fellow Democrat, for delays in supplying the auditor's office with information about the fraud. I did a podcast on that as well, and it was like, okay, we're basically just stalling things out till we get a handle on this, because that whole thing was so out of control in a time where people really needed unemployment. Is there a time in the state of the country where people have needed unemployment more than this past year? No, probably not, because so many of those, it wasn't like this is people just, I don't really feel like going to work today and getting fired or whatever, Their business was shut down in a lot of these cases. Their businesses were shut down. They were mandated by the state. Hey, you're not open today, and you're not going to be open for a long time. And when we say it's okay and it's safe for you to go back to work, we'll let you know. We'll give you a little notification. Hey, be really happy. You can go back to work. While that's going on, we've promised you unemployment because you should get it. You're an employee. But we got this whole thing where we really screwed up. And this Nigerian, fraud ring, that whole thing. We know this isn't your fault. You're not getting paid your unemployment money. But we got to deal with this whole Nigerian thing over here. This is a mess. So sorry. And people literally not getting money that was owed to them for like 3/4 of a year, months and months and months and months. I heard so many stories of people who are like, yeah, I'm owed money and I haven't gotten paid, and I've been calling every day, day in, day out, can't get through to the system because the system is overloaded, chasing down money and doing all kinds of other things, trying to help the people that, were owed money. But it just took that long because of fiascos like this and because the governor closed a lot of businesses down that didn't necessarily need to be closed. Not based on the data or the science. We just willy-nilly, yep, you are closed, you are open. You are closed, you are open. Randomly picking the winners, sometimes based on tax dollars. Oh, if you're a weed store, you are going to be deemed essential because we like the amount of money you bring in taxes. Have you seen the amount of money on taxes on weed? It's incredible. I mean, what a bonanza for each state government that it's legal in, right? I mean, you just got to be impressed by that. Just the sheer number of dollars. That's a lot of people getting really high. And the states are, they're taxing it in dollars. And so when the winners and losers, yep, we're going to now go with, we know that weed was illegal up until just a few years ago, but now we're going to basically recouch it as medicine. And people need their medicine during a shutdown. So we're going to give it to them. We're just going to let that ride. Stuff like that. It's crazy. It's just as crazy as somebody, not doing a good job and then getting promoted to the highest level that there is out there. That's essentially what we are dealing with here. That's essentially what we're talking about. To me, it's just so, what? Like, how did this happen? How did this become a thing? I don't know. You tell me. Let me know in the comments below what you think happened. Everybody just kind of knows, right? It's like, oh, $400,000 you donated, and your job title matches the one I kind of need you on over here. You had $600 million loss. All right. I think we can work that out. But your job title is going to be interim for a long time. You're going to be the permanent interim position. That's what we're going to call you. It's kind of like in the city of Seattle, we've got an interim police chief because guess what? Nobody really wants that job permanently. Not a great job to have at the moment. And I think Adrian Diaz is doing a decent job of what he's doing, what he's tasked with, which is just basically holding the Seattle Police Department as best he can, not having it get rocked by any more craziness, trying to hold things together while defunding is going on, crime is going up, citizens are feeling unsafe, don't have enough cops on the ground. And his position is interim also. And I think it'll probably be, it's one of those permanent, interim positions where he just rides it out through the end of whoever's term, however that goes. I don't know. But this one, we'll just have to see how this goes. We'll have to see if the Nigerian fraud scheme, if that ultimately gets resolved, or are we kind of just putting that behind us? Or, is $400,000 enough to contribute, and then you get a hall pass to whatever job it is that you want that you may or may not be qualified for. I'm not sure. But as this story continues, I'm going to bring it to you right here in the Seattle Real Estate Podcast. This has been kind of a fun one because it's an easy one to poke fun at. It's like, really? This is really going on. Well, she's well qualified. Okay. Have you been living in Washington? Because I have, and I gotta say here, not sure if that's the right person for the job. But what do I know? I'm a real estate guy. I read the news. Thanks for being here. Again, I'm Sean Reynolds from Summit Properties Northwest, Reynolds and Kline Appraisal. You guys take care. Have a good one. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you'll know when our next video is out.